We are live.
Yay! It is Monday, the last live stream till after Ice and Fire gone. Quick shout out to Lizzie, Sir Dave Zilla, Jeremy, Lady Thistle. I know you're still working, but you're probably listening. Um, Sanjay was one of the last people to subscribe to the channel. I'm up to 78 subscribers, so yay me. Um, I am old new dude. He is.
Richard York, Astro's Trueborn Son.
This is Sansa 3, Clash of Kings. So I am running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to get last minute stuff done. Today's all laundry and costumes and suitcases and all that stuff. Tomorrow I pick up the rental truck or the rental car. But so if I seem a little more scatterbrained than normal, there's a reason why. But all right, take it away, Richard.
All right. So first, I need to apologize again for blanking on Cantus's name. Oh wait, no, this was from last time.
Yeah, you're on Sansa 3.
Yeah. Sorry. All right. I really am forgetting things.
That's okay.
All right.
It's Monday.
This is Sansa's third chapter, Clash 32. Sansa has been taught well. We some significant growth in an area that we know was a weakness previously, but anyway.
Yeah.
The longer you keep him waiting, the worse it will go for you, Sandor Clegane warned her. Sansa tried to hurry, but her fingers fumbled at buttons and knots. The Hound was always rough-tongued, but something in the way he had looked at her filled her with dread. Had Joffrey found out about her meetings with Sir Dantos? Please, no, she thought as she brushed out her hair. Sir Dantos was her only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So Dave's a bunch of pots on the stove. Yeah, I got a lot of. I'm burning the candle at both ends since last night. I'm kind of got stressing out, getting anxious. It's a good kind of anxious though.
So the fabric was tight across her chest. George definitely lets us know when characters have, let's go with ample bosoms.
I think George is a boob man.
You think?
Yeah.
Tell me what I've done. Not you, your kingly brother. Rob's a traitor. Sansa knew the words by rote. I had no part in whatever he did. The Hound snorted. They trained you well, little bird. This is true, and as Casey says, she's uniquely qualified for the challenges she faces.
Oh, yeah.
She could hear Lord Giles coughing. Loitering stable hands eyed her insolently, but Sir Horace Redwine averted his gaze as she passed, and his brother Hobber pretended not to see her. A yellow cat was dying on the ground, mewling piteously, a crossbow quarrel through its ribs. Sansa stepped around it, feeling ill. Joffrey stood in the center of the throng, winding an ornate crossbow. In case we didn't hate Joffrey already, and he's going to get worse from here.
Oh, yeah.
Kneeling won't save you now, the king said. Stand up. You're here to answer for your brother's latest treasons. Your grace, whatever my traitor brother has done, I had no part. You know that. I beg you, please. Get her up. The Hound pulled her to her feet, not ungently. So the Hound is deliberately gentle with her. I think he may wind up her sworn sword and potential but unofficial baby daddy. That's just
San.
That's one possibility.
Yeah.
Using some vile sorcery, your brother fell upon Sir Stafford Lannister with an army of wargs, not 3 days' ride from Lannisport. Thousands of good men were butchered as they slept, without the chance to lift sword. After the slaughter, the Northmen feasted on the flesh of the slain. Horror coiled cold hands around Sansa's throat. You have nothing to say? Asked Joffrey. Your grace, the poor child is shocked, witless, murmured Sir Dantos. Silence, fool! Joffrey lifted his crossbow and pointed it at her face. You Starks are as unnatural as those wolves of yours. I've not forgotten how your monster savaged me. That was Arya's wolf, she said. Blade never hurt you, but you killed her anyway. No, your father did, Joff said. But I killed your father. I wish I'd done it myself. I killed a man last night who was bigger than your father. They came to the gate shouting my name and calling for bread like I was some baker. But I taught them better. I shot the last one right through the throat. And he died? With the ugly iron head of the quarrel staring her in the face, it was hard to think what else to say. Of course he died. He had my quarrel in his throat. There was a woman throwing rocks. I got her as well, but only in the arm. Frowning, he lowered the crossbow. I'd shoot you too, but if I do, Mother says they'd kill my Uncle Jamie. Instead, you'll just be punished, and we'll send word to your brother about what will happen to you if he doesn't yield. Dog, hit her. All right, what do we got here? Hi, dude. Missed you during book club, so I was determined to make it live. Thanks for the shout out on the Arya episode last week, too.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, Sanjay. Yeah, I had just received my booster shot for COVID in anticipation of the ISOPARCon being all those people. So I didn't feel good, and I ended up falling asleep probably an hour or so for book club, and then wake up till the next morning. But I have slept uh, every night since then, going to bed early and sleeping all night like a baby for some reason. Lizzie says it's because I found land and we're getting ready to move, and the security of knowing where we're going to live has taken the weight off my shoulders. I tend to agree with her. So, but yeah, I appreciate it, Sanji. I'm sorry I missed you.
Didn't Sandor have a little sister die when he was a child? Yes, he did have a sister.
Yeah, I think so.
Lady sister says, "Yeah, we figured you'd passed out. Hope you're feeling better, dude. Sounds like
Oh
you're."
yeah. I feel. I might have to have a little bit of a cough, but I feel 100 times better.
Yeah, we don't have much. We don't have any backstory on her yet, but we all want it. Yep, absolutely. So
I want to
I
say
thought
I want to say his sister was slightly older, but still ended up disappearing.
older than him, but not older than the mountain, perhaps.
Right. I think it was in between.
That could be. So I thought Joffrey was smarter than giving orders, which would obviously be disobeyed. But he is the Mad King's double biological grandson, at least in our interpretation of these books.
Yeah, I got a question on that. You know how the Mad King slowly got worse and worse, and we think there was either Bloodraven or future Bran meddling with the mind.
I mean,
If
it's a possibility. I don't know that.
right,
I
it's a
don't know that that's
possibility.
certain that that's true, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think that Littlefinger's been meddling with Joffrey's mind, and even if he's not continually doing that through this, the repeated messing with Joffrey's mind or tinkering in there might slowly have been another force driving Joffrey madder or crazier or than he was, just slowly getting worse and worse. It's a byproduct of somebody in there messing around.
So anyway, so Dave Zill is speculating that yeah, a lot of people have said that maybe he's identifying with the sisters as to his own sister. So I bet that's why he looks after the Stark girls and that Gregor was responsible for the sisters' demise. That's a pretty common interpretation.
Yeah.
Worst dating profile ever. Double biological grandson and triple Pisces. Nice to meet you.
Joffrey's a dick.
So anyway, I've always, it doesn't appear that Sandor has ever hit Sansa, and so the dog hitter thing is the fact that he specifically ordered him to, and he didn't, is interesting. I'd forgotten that he specifically ordered.
Yeah, I didn't think
Sandor
he ever ordered Sandor, so I forgot about it too.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was interesting. Let me beat her. Sir Danto shoved forward, tin armor clattering. He was armed with a morning star, whose head was a melon. My Florian! She could have kissed him, blotchy skin and broken veins and all. He trotted his broomstick around her, shouting, "Traitor, traitor," and whacking her over the head with the melon. Sansa covered herself with her hands, staggering every time the fruit pounded her hair sticky by the second blow. People were laughing. The melon flew to pieces. Laugh, Joffrey, she prayed as the juice ran down her face and the front of her blue silk gown. Laugh and be satisfied. Sansa is smart enough to appreciate what Thanos is doing, but unfortunately so is Joffrey. Also, notice that not all of Sansa's prayers are answered. There are a lot of times when Sansa makes a prayer and it seems to get answered, but not necessarily in a way that is quite as happy for her as she thinks. This one is specifically not being answered.
Yeah.
So Boros seized Sansa. Leave her face, Joffrey commanded. I like her pretty. Boros slammed a fist into Sansa's belly, driving the air out of her. When she doubled over, the knight grabbed her hair and drew his sword. At one hideous instant, she was certain he meant to open her throat. As he laid the flat of the blade across her thighs, she thought her legs might break from the force of the blow. Sansa screamed. Tears welled in her eyes. It will be over soon. She soon lost count of the blows. Enough! She heard the hound rasp. The hound is definitely closer to Sansa's ideal of a true knight.
Yeah.
Crazier for how ripped she is for that juice on her dress now.
Yes.
Better than blood.
Well, she's smart enough to realize what Dantos did. I mean, that she's very quick brain. She's got. I mean, she's sharp.
So yeah, the reason I include the two bad things happening to Sansa here is because the two people that are actually um, and maybe not in love with her, but somewhat romantically linked to her, step
Yeah.
in, right? So anyway,
Well, I think the Hound actually is in love with her.
right, but the next thing that happens is
Yeah.
we're gonna have a similar intervention here. So
Yeah.
no, it isn't. The king replied. Boros, make her naked. Boros shoved a meaty hand down the front of Sansa's bodice and gave a hard yank. The silk came tearing away, bearing her to the waist. Sansa covered her breast with her hands. She could hear sniggers far off and cruel. Beat her bloody, Joffrey said. We'll see how her brother fancies. What is the meaning of this? The imp's voice cracked like a whip, and suddenly Sansa was free. She stumbled to her knees, arms crossed over her chest, her breath ragged. Is this your notion of chivalry, Sir Boros? Tyrion Lannister demanded angrily. His pet sellsword stood with him in one of his wildlings, the one with the burned eye. What sort of knight beats helpless maids? The sword who serves as king, imp. Sir Boros raised his sword, and Sir Meryn stepped up beside him, his blade scraping clear of its scabbard. Careful with those, warned the dwarf's sellsword. You don't want to get blood all over those pretty white cloaks. Someone give the girl something to cover herself with, the imp said. Senator Clegane unfastened his cloak and tossed it at her. Sansa clutched it against her chest, fists bunched hard in the white wool. The coarse weave was scratchy against her skin, but no velvet had ever felt so fine. This girl's to be your queen, the imp told Joffrey. Have you no regard for her honor? I'm punishing her. For what crime? She did not fight her brother's battle. She has the blood of a wolf, and you have the wits of a goose. You can't talk to me that way. The king can do as he likes. Daenerys Targaryen did as he liked. Has your mother ever told you what happened to him? Sir Boros Blunt harumphed. No man threatens his grace in the presence of the king's guard. Tyrion Lannister raised an eyebrow. I am not threatening the king, sir. I am educating my nephew. Bronn, Timett, the next time Sir Boros opens his mouth, kill him. The dwarf smiled. Now, that was a threat, sir. See the difference? Sir Boros turned a dark shade of red. The queen will hear of this. No doubt she will. And why wait? Joffrey, shall we send for your mother? The king flushed. Nothing to say, your grace? His uncle went on. Good. Learn to use your ears more and your mouth less, or your reign will be shorter than I am. Wanton brutality is no way to win your people's love, or your queen's. Fear is better than love, mother says, Joffrey pointed at Sansa. She fears me. Imp sighed. Yes, I see. A pity Stannis and Renly aren't 12-year-old girls as well. Bronn, Timett, bring her. We probably ought to stop and see what's going on here. This passage always makes me rage. I hate that little piss ant king. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, definitely. The actor that played him, I forget his name, Jackie Gleason, something like that.
Yeah.
He did such a good job playing Joffrey that so many people hated him that he gave up acting afterwards. Which chances are there's not a role that he could do without people seeing Joffrey in it. He also recently got married, I think, not too long ago. Side note, sorry.
Nope, that's right. Sansa moved as if in a dream. She thought the imp's men would take her back to her bedchamber in Maegor's Holdfast, but instead they conducted her to the Tower of the Hand. She had not set foot inside the place since the day her father fell from grace, and it made her feel faint to climb those steps again. So the imp, the hound, and the fool all want to rescue Sansa.
Yes.
Knights are sworn to defend the weak, protect women, and fight for the right, but none of them did a thing. Only Sir Dontos had tried to help, but he was no longer a knight, no more than the imp was, nor the hound. The hound hated knights. I hate them too, Sansa thought. They are no true knights, not one of them. So Sansa is definitely learning.
Yeah. It's awful funny. The three people that just protected her, you got Dantos that gets her out of the city. You got Tyrion that ends up marrying her. So there's got to be a future between Sandor and Sansa. There has to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Pray here. The gods will hear. Meekly, Sansa dropped her eyes and retreated back inside. She realized suddenly why this place seemed so familiar. They put me in Arya's old bedchamber from when father was the hand of the king. All her things are gone and the furnishings have been moved around, but it's the same. Bran sees well beyond the trees themselves, and it says, pray here, the gods will hear.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway. She drank 2 cups of water and was nibbling on an olive when the knock came. So maybe the Order of the Green Hand read too much into the knock, because Sansa did not plan or expect this knock.
Yeah. Also, I was re-listening to it this morning. When the cat's paw gets there with the dagger, she says, the man.
Yeah,
instead of,
yeah.
oh man.
We, we,
It's just
we
the
talked
way
about that.
George writes. It has
Right. We
nothing to
talked
do
about that
with,
at the time
yeah,
that it could be
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The knock don't mean shit.
I get why they would say that choosing the word the there makes it sound like it's expected, but
Yeah,
I think he does this multiple times. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That is, there is so much of their opinion, assumptions, assuming, in their videos on the cat suck. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He was wearing his no, that's no problem. Well, I still think it's funny that so we obviously believe that this is a deliberately ambiguous book series with multiple interpretations, and that the author confirming one interpretation is correct doesn't make the alternative interpretation incorrect, right?
Right.
And so I think it's hilarious that they um, that they refuse to acknowledge that R plus L equals J is a correct interpretation, not the correct interpretation, and then or they insist that it is that way. Or I guess I should say they insist that it can be both, right? That even though he's verified that's correct, in
Yeah.
working with an alternative, specifically with partnering on different media to bring that story. There are a few channels that have takes I don't understand anyway. Well, sure, and I'm saying I do kind of understand this, but I'm saying there's an inconsistency here in that they're correct that George confirming in that his partners in an alternative media being correct doesn't necessarily mean that that interpretation is the only correct interpretation. And then they claim they reject any alternative theories about the cat's paw on the basis of the app. and that he specifically confirmed when working with alternative media that was a correct interpretation. Therefore, it's the only correct interpretation. I'm like, no, no. Same logic applies. Anyway,
Yep.
he was wearing his chain of office, a necklace of linked golden hands. I thought we might talk. As my lord commands, Seth found it hard not to stare. His face was so ugly it had a queer fascination for her. While I do think Loras is the Valonqar, I do like to point out that Tyrion kills Shay by wrapping his hands around her neck, despite only using a single hand. So if Jaime took what girls from canon might call the hand job, he could theoretically wrap his hands around his lover's throat despite only having a single hand. So, not claiming George is going to go that way. I'm claiming that he's.
I like that.
In multiple directions.
I said it before, and I'll say it again. I am a fan of almost any theory, whether I agree with it or not. That's the first I've heard of that. I like it.
Right. And we even heard that wrapping hands around her neck earlier in the chapter, right?
Right. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
that's a nice catch. Again,
I still think Loras is the Valonqar. I think the little brother means the only one of one, and it doesn't mean the less little of your two little brothers, right? And the brothers of the Kingsguard are the brothers that are around the royal family. There's only one of them that's little. He's heavily paralleled with Jaime, usually with the gender swap between the Kingslayer and him, so I like to call him Queenslayer, right? Yeah. And so I personally like Loras as the Valonqar, but I'm willing to acknowledge that George likes to keep his options open, plant seeds in multiple directions. And so, like you said, just being able to see that there's some evidence for an interpretation is interesting, even if it's not necessarily the way it's going to go, right?
Right. Now, I tend to agree with you on the Loras. You're the one that sold me on Loras. I mean, there's several little brothers. Fagon, if he's the middle child, that's a little brother.
Yeah, you're right. Val would only have one little brother in that case. True.
Right.
Gods, I hope Loras gets to kill Cersei. I've wished it so hard. Maybe it'll come true.
We agree with you, Lizzie. Very, very much.
Yeah. I'm just saying that he does plant seeds in different directions.
Yeah.
You are the most kind, and this morning it was very good of you to help me. You have a right to know why Joffrey was so wroth. 6 nights gone, your brother fell upon my uncle Stafford and camped with his host at a village called Oxcross, not 3 days' ride from Casterly Rock. Your Northerners won a crushing victory. We received word only this morning. We put the time in. We deserve this. Rob will kill you all, she thought, exulting. It's terrible, my lord. My brother is a vile traitor. Dorf smiled wanly. Well, he's no fawn. He's made that clear enough. Sir Lancel said Rob led an army of wargs. The imp gave a disdainful bark of laughter. Sir Lancel's a wine-skinned warrior who wouldn't know a warg from a wart. It's too bad Sansa doesn't know what this means, but we can appreciate it.
Yeah.
I kind of like the alliteration too. Wine-skinned warrior wouldn't know a warg from a wart.
Yeah.
Your brother had his direwolf with him, but I suspect that's as far as it went. The Northmen crept into my uncle's camp and cut his horse lines, and Lord Stark sent his wolf among them. Even war-trained Destiers went mad. Knights were trampled to death in their pavilions, and the rabble woke in terror and fled, casting aside their weapons to run the faster. Sir Stafford was slain as he chased after a horse. Lord Rickard Karstark drove a lance through his chest. Sir Rupert Brax is also dead, along with Sir Lyman Vickery, Lord Crakehall, and Lord Jast. 100 more have been taken captive, including Jast's sons and my nephew Martin Lannister. Those who survived are spreading wild tales and swearing that the old gods of the north marched with your brother. Then there was no sorcery? Lannister snorted. Sorcery is the sauce fools spoon over failure to hide the flavor of their own incompetence. My mutton-headed uncle had not even troubled to post sentries, it would seem. His host was raw, apprentice boys, miners, field hands, fisher folk, the sweepings of Lannisport. The only mystery is how your brother reached him. Our forces still hold the stronghold of the Golden Tooth, and they swear he did not pass. Dorf gave an irritated shrug. Well, Robb Stark is my father's bane, Joffrey is mine. Tell me, what do you feel for my kingly nephew? A wineskin warrior is amazing. Just like my badass uncle talking mess at the bar. Yep. Yeah, definitely. I really appreciated that one. I love him with all my heart, Sansa said at once. Truly, he did not sound convinced. Even now, my love for his grace is greater than it has ever been. The imp laughed aloud. Well, someone has taught you to lie well. You may be grateful for that one day, child. She's definitely making progress since we were only recently told that she's a terrible liar.
Yeah.
If it gives you any solace, I do not intend that you ever wed Joffrey. No marriage will reconcile Stark and Lannister after all that has happened, I fear. More's the pity. The match was one of King Robert's better notions if Joffrey hadn't mucked it up. She knew she ought to say something, but the words caught in her throat. Was this intervention? Would speaking have somehow messed this up?
Yeah.
You grow very quiet, Tyrion Lannister observed. Is this what you want? An end to your betrothal? Sansa did not know what to say. Is it a trick? Will he punish me if I tell the truth? She stared at the dwarf's brutal, bulging brow, the hard black eye and the shrewd green one, the crooked teeth and wiry beard. I only want to be loyal. Loyal, the dwarf mused, and far from any Lannisters. I can scarce blame you for that. When I was your age, I wanted the same thing. He smiled. They tell me you visit the gods every day. What do you pray for, Sansa? So notice that Tyrion does have one shrewd eye, but he's one of the few Westerosi, if not the only one, who we don't think is a secret Kingsguard with a shrewd eye.
Yeah. Well, there is that chimera
the bank
theory that he is still part Targaryen.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
That both the Mad King and Tywin are his father. That's the merging of his sperm.
Yeah, Preston has I think it's a 3-minute video that's called.
Yeah. So the shrewd eye is the dark eye, and that would be the Targaryen-ish.
No, the shrewd guy's the green one.
Oh, the shrewd eye is the green one.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
So that would be the one that would come from. She said shrewd green eye, so that would be Tywin.
Sorry.
I pray for Robb's victory and Joffrey's death, and for home, for Winterfell. I pray for an end to the fighting. We'll have that soon enough. There will be another battle between your brother Robb and my lord father, and that will settle the issue. Robb will beat him, Sansa thought. Beat your uncle and your brother Jaime. He'll beat your father too. It was as if her face were an open book, so easily did the dwarf read her hopes. Do not take Oxcross too much to heart, my lady, he told her, not unkindly. A battle is not a war, and my lord father is assuredly not my Uncle Stafford. The next time you visit the Godswood, pray that your brother has the wisdom to bend the knee. Once the North returns to the king's peace, I mean to send you home. He hopped down off the window seat and said, You may sleep here tonight. I'll give you some of my own men as a guard, some stone throws perhaps. No, Sansa blurted out, aghast. If she was locked in the Tower of the Hand, guarded by the dwarf's men, how would Sir Dantos ever spirit her away to freedom? Would you prefer black ears? I'll give you Chella if a woman would make you more ease. Please, no, my lord. The wildlings frighten me. He grinned. Me as well, but more to the point, they frightened Joffrey and that nest of sly vipers and lick-spittle dogs he calls a Kingsguard. With Cello or Timid by your side, no one would dare offer you harm. I would sooner return to my own bed. A lie came to her suddenly, but it seemed so right that she blurted it out at once. This tower was where my father's men were slain. Their ghosts would give me terrible dreams, and I would see their blood wherever I looked. So was this divine inspiration?
It's possible.
Tyrion Lannister studied her face. I am no stranger to that, Mistress Sansa. Perhaps you are wiser than I knew. Permit me at least to escort you safely back to your own chambers. Well, she is getting wiser.
Yeah.
I do find the Chimera theory to be interesting, and sounds like something George would use but never explain outright. Yeah, I don't think there'd be any way for him to, he's not going to be able to give him like DNA tests of multiple parts of his body or anything.
Yeah, he's not going to give a DNA lesson in the middle of the story. It's just,
but it would allow him to be for the dragons to like him like they like Brown Ben Plum, but still for us to realize that he's killed his own biological father, just as we think Jaime has killed his own biological father.
Yeah. Well, that would make Cersei, Jaime, and Tyrion three children in a row from the Mad King.
Yep.
Just like the oh, well, actually, something about this. All right, he had 2 true-born children, and then 3 with the added sperm for Tyrion, 3 bastards. All right,
maybe
Rhaegar
maybe.
Maybe
I don't know.
Rhaegar had.
I think there's clues that I think there actually are clues that Rhaegar is a bastard. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. There's that too. But I mean, there was 2, and then the 3, and then Rhaegar had 2 children, and then we're saying 3 in the tower. So there would be matching kid numbers between the Mad King and Rhaegar.
Sure.
Which doesn't mean a whole lot, but
right. But it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I do think that some of the phrasing around Bonifer Hasty is kind of sort of like the way that the wording, the way that Dany's parents and Dany chapters are their names are only used if it like de-emphasizes them as her parents, right?
Right.
And so if you look when Bonifer Hasty is mentioned, it's kind of in that same context and with regard to Rhaegar.
Yeah.
so it makes it interesting.
Yeah.
And and his mannerisms kind of seem more like Bonifer Hasty than like Aerys, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
the Sandor in love with Sansa. Is it Toodles that has the Shadrick the Bad Mouse as Howland Reed, and
so
then
does Blue Lemons, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. And
both Toodles and Blue Lemons have all 3 of those individuals going from going to the Vale, right?
Yeah, from the Quiet Isle.
Yeah, and it really does seem like there's some specific wording that's really set up the elder brother as the Mary. What's his name? Anyway, you know what I mean. That the hedge knight with one of the 3 hedge knights, right? So the 3 hedge knights being Shadrick and the elder brother, and
then the Hound Glamour.
And a glamour of somebody who would be able to recognize Sansa.
Right. And
who was with them at the Quiet Isle.
Right.
Somebody.
Well, the last time we see Shadrick, Littlefinger, and Sansa together, the Brian the Beautiful or whatever the hell his name is, kisses her. I think it's on the hand. But the affection or infatuation or whatever it is
right.
between the Hound and Sansa, it screams, why would George put that in there from that one night if it's not the Hound?
Right, so Dave Zilla says that's the only second identity Little Howland could pull off. Yeah, and you've got people like Preston saying Howland Reed is a jerk. He's not doing anything. It's like, no, he's been trying the whole time to get there.
It's just like our Varys and Dorcas. I mean, I mean, George isn't going to wait to the very last book to have Howland Reed make a magical,
No,
I
he's been
mean,
there the whole time. Yep,
he's
he's
been
been
there the
working on
whole
it the whole
time,
time.
just like
Yeah,
once
yeah.
Varys left, he's still been there the whole time. He's just been
Right,
Dorcas.
right. Yeah, yeah. You were so right to say, he's got to be someone. He's got to be
Yeah, he's
there.
got to be.
Don't come for Howland Reed. Oh, no, no.
No, no,
That's what
no,
we're
no, no.
saying. Is no, we're not. We're not. We're saying he's not a jerk. He's actually working
No.
really hard to try and get to Sansa.
Yeah, he's doing a
And
really good job. He found her out real quick. I mean,
he loves to do this thing where he has somebody give you a quote and then he breaks the quote and then he continues it and changes the meaning where the first part of the quote is correct, right? And the character doesn't realize that the second characters, including sometimes the person speaking, don't realize that the second quote makes it incorrect, right? So he does
right,
that where when Varys accuses Hugh of the veil, and even Varys is the one that brings up the armor and how he looked with this and describes his armor and so forth. Ned doesn't leap to the wrong conclusion. Varys gives everything that describes Littlefinger. Then
hmm
there's a break, and then Varys says it's the armor and describes everything about Hugh, right?
yeah,
The Hugh, that's right, isn't it?
yes, Hugh
Sir Hugh, yeah, Sir
yeah,
Hugh, yeah. And so it's Varys that leads Ned to the wrong conclusion, but as the reader, we can see that where he broke the quote, the first
right,
half was correct, right? And so you got the true killer, I confess, right, is what Littlefinger says,
yeah,
right? And then there's a break, right? And then he says, you have me curious or whatever. And then and with Shadrach, he says, I am looking for Sansa for love. And then there's a break, and then
right,
it's for love of gold, right?
right,
And so the for love is the truth, and the for love of gold is the false part. Just as with like he always does that, right? Whenever he breaks something like that, the first
yeah,
part is true and the second part is false. And so he's telling you, I'm looking for Sansa for love, and it's not for love of gold.
right,
When he breaks a quote like that, that other part is false, right?
yeah,
And so when he gives you the quote about who poisoned him, he tells you it's Peter. He describes Peter, and then he
mhm.
gives a break, and then he describes
He
Hugh, right?
changed it. Yeah,
And he does this over and over again. And so he's told us Shadrach is looking for Sansa, and his true motivation is love,
mhm.
not love of gold. The way he's written it, he's told us with his style, it is for love. It is not for love of gold.
Yeah. Sir Dave Zilla, yeah, the Blood Raven
Blood Raven,
and Maynard. That we're saying the same thing um,
right?
with Howland Reed and Sir Shadrach.
And Lizzie knew we weren't.
Yeah,
she's
yeah, yeah.
she's threatening Preston.
Yeah. Well, you remember me saying that I found it hard for Howland Reed to be defeated by the three squires so easily, that it was all
Yeah.
planned and staged and everything. Well, I believe Shadrach when he says he was at the Battle of Blackwater,
Oh yeah,
because he
definitely.
said the other two knights, the old knights weren't, but I was there. I
Right.
fought.
Right.
The man knows how to fight. I
Right.
mean, he was carrying the exact same things that Mirror Reed carries: the spear frog, the short blade, the
Yeah.
net,
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
takes down a dire wolf. Okay,
Yeah.
so Howland Reed has known how to fight this whole time. I mean,
Right.
him
Right. No,
getting
I'm
beat
not.
by the squires well, it was
Preach to the
staged. I
choir.
mean,
Preach to the choir.
yeah, 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 yeah. All right. Well, this was the
So,
last live stream before Ice and FireCon. Um,
yeah. Up next is Catelyn 4, a name associated with Shadow, and then there's a name.
not
There's a
Shadow.
name that's associated with Shadow, and then there's another Shadow.
Right. Which will be it won't be Monday after Ice and FireCon because that's the day I
No.
drive back. So it'll be
No.
the following. Well, it'll be the first Wednesday of the month. So I don't know if you'll be able to do it.
No. No. I don't have that meeting anymore. So.
Okay, okay. So it'll be the Wednesday after. So that would be
And hope
the third.
and hopefully, unlike Tucker Carlson, when we say we'll be back, hopefully we'll be back. So,
There you go. Now
I do
I
think
do
it's pretty
plan on.
funny. I do think it's pretty funny that his last words on his show before they canceled him today was, "We'll be back on Monday."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I would like to do a short little video of me and you talking at Ice and FireCon to post on the channel. Just because we're in person, we got to have something.
You want to do Catelyn 4 or?
Yeah, we can do Catlin 4 live, or we can videotape it at Ice and FireCon and just put it out.
Some break sometime.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there'd be. I'm there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I mean, all I get is grab me. We find a table.
I'm gonna leave at some point on Sunday and drive part way
Hell, we
back.
can have Lizzie or somebody as a guest. I mean, we can
Yeah,
spruce this thing up pretty good.
yeah. Lizzie's
We just
willing
got
to be on YouTube. I've seen her.
yeah. I've seen her too.
I've seen you
Yeah,
debate her. Or
yeah.
wait, no, you got thrown. Yeah, yeah, you were against her. You were against her, weren't you?
Yeah, I don't like being against Lizzie. It's not a good place to
Yeah, I
be.
think you were.
Yeah,
I think you were.
yeah. I was on
But
Sansa
yeah,
sucks. I didn't like the side that I was on, even though I tried my best.
right, right. You did pretty well. You handled it pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, well, I
It was
mean,
hard to tell that. It was hard to tell that you didn't believe what you were saying.
yeah. Well, I'm a pretty good actor. I'll go ahead and tell you. Just ask my wife. Every time I try to get out of trouble, I'm really good at it. So no, I mean, if you saw me look like I was agitated, anger or anything towards Sansa, it was just because I was agitated because of the side that I was on.
I did the YouTube once. You can see it on the interwebs and everything.
There you go. Hopefully the
Hopefully,
trip
it
goes
goes well for
well.
you all. Kids get a bit bigger. I might go out for one of these cons. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you sometime.
Well, the bigger cons, game of cons and all that kind of stuff. I saw pictures of it, and I have real anxiety about being around people.
Yeah,
And pictures I saw, I mean, there's no way.
you wouldn't be going to one of those
Yeah, I can't go
niche
to the
ones like
bigger
that.
ones. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not in the books for me. This smaller con works out perfect for me.
yeah.
Which
And it's,
I still might have a problem inside if there's a bunch of people all at once. But
being anti-Sansa is hard. I don't know.
yes, I
Apparently, it's
agree.
easy for some people.
No, I mean, yeah,
It's easy for
I
some people, not
swear
for
it
us.
had.
But
It's got everything to do with the direction the show took, and once Sophie or whatever her name is that played Sansa,
her, yeah.
once she got resting bitch face on the show, from that point on, that's when the Sansa hate just seemed to me to really just pile on, is because of the way they made her portray Sansa. Because I mean,
Could
she
be some of
became
it.
a bitch from
Could be some of
Battle
it.
of Bastards on, if not a little before. She just had resting bitch face, and everybody just started hating her and hate her.
And some of it's probably that she is meant to be an echo of Kat in a way, right? And so some of it's probably that we were definitely hinted at many times in a certain chapter that there's a pattern of abuse with Kat, right? And
Right.
so there's people who hate on Kat and then they associate Sansa with piling on of that abuse and being an echo of Kat. So I guess I can kind of get it, but the point is the character. I like the characters that start off terrible and grow, right? Like
Right.
Jamie starts off as a hothead who killed Jory, right? And he's growing. He's deciding to be good, and
Yeah.
and Theon and Sansa. I'd look like that too if I had to share a bed with Ramsay. Just saying. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
This is true. I forgot what I was going to say. I had it on my brain and it just left. Oh no! I mean, originally I didn't like reading the Sansa chapters. I mean, um, it was. I don't know if it's the George's portrayal of a what 12-year-old girl, but I have a 15-year-old
right.
daughter, so I mean it's some of her chapters are just harder for me to read. But at the beginning, it wasn't. It wasn't that she wasn't smart or she wasn't playing the game or she wasn't doing what she was supposed to. I just didn't find a whole lot of interest in them. But as her chapters have gotten on, her chapters are gotten better and better and better. I don't know if that means that George has gotten better at
I
writing
think.
Sansa as the character grows.
Well, it's also that she is growing, right? And
Yeah.
we appreciate that, right?
She
And
I mean,
Sir Dave says there's also a ton of John fans who hate her for the half brother bastard brother thing. Yeah, and
yeah.
that's where George's like Brienne when it comes to judging children's ages.
Now,
Anyway,
George is awesome at writing Arya chapters for
yeah,
an 8-year-old girl. It's
and everything is stupid.
I mean, from the first chapter on, he has mastered the art of writing Arya. She's like one of my favorite chapters to read. If I had to only read one character's chapter through the entire books from start to finish,
Well,
it would
and
probably be.
one of the things that's nice about Sansa and Arya is that they are growing, and there's so many. That's kind of rare that you actually have female characters that don't start off perfect, right? That have to develop their skills and grow and so forth. And
Yeah,
for whatever reason, Hollywood doesn't normally give us that.
Sanjay agrees. I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, George is a equal opportunity writer. He wants, especially in this world, for there to be such powerful female characters in this type of society is beautiful. I think it's the best part of one of the best parts of the story is he's given, even though in open they don't have equal footing to stand on, but he gives like the Arya Tyrion chapters being the same amount of chapters. He gives them all equal footing, and if not, sometimes gives them the better story at the time. I mean, I mean, normally it's the guy and he's the hero and that's it. There's a damsel in distress, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's not the way this story is written, and it's beautiful. Brienne, I mean, it's a stroke of genius to have that kind of character in this story. I mean, I take my hat off to him because you got to stop and think.
Yeah.
He started this 20 years ago, and at that time, it was still even more of a man-dominated world that we
Right.
lived in.
Right.
To have such strong female characters in a fantasy setting, well, I mean, just wasn't heard of. So, I mean, George is awesome. All things are possible with George.
And so Dave says George must have had a Visenya Arya tomboy sister.
I don't know enough about his backstory.
I don't know much about his. He does have one or two sisters. I can't remember, but I know he has at least one sister. I was iffy about Arian Martell chapters in first read, but now I really love those chapters.
Is that Winds of Winter pre-chapters?
No, I mean, she's in.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah. Well, we see her through. Do we see her by herself in the story, or is it through the?
No, she's POV. She's well. We do. Okay. We also see her. We also see Ares Oakhurst, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah, so, we see her.
So we also see her from a man who's in love with her view, and we see her.
Yeah, we see hers once she gets captured and put in the tower.
She's the more primary. She's the more primary Dorn.
Yeah. Well, hers doesn't stand out in my mind. I mean, I started to do medicine. It seems.
Well, we haven't had her. We haven't had her long enough to see as much growth in her. Oh yeah,
yeah, without a doubt, Dave. Asha's a badass. Yeah, they never should have changed her name on the show.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that she's somewhat taken over Catelyn's role as the mother figure, and that she's the one who's pleading to end the war, trying to figure a way towards peace, and which is what you pray for with the mother, right? And she's and I'm convinced that's why he keeps doing the suckling babe thing with her.
Right. Well, I mean, it's still another strong female character that has the right and correct idea, and it's still dumbass men that want to keep on fighting. So, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll put it. I'm 52 years old. I've had plenty of jobs throughout the years, and I have always done better when my manager was a woman. And I mean, I worked hard no matter who I was working for, but it just seemed like the job was a whole lot easier and smoother because they knew what the hell they were doing, and men are just a bunch of dumbasses. Asha is actually a savvy political player, but no following. Yeah, I agree. And in both their cases, it stands. What?
Both their cases. Wait, we're talking about so many different people now that I've lost track.
Yeah, I did too, man. Much gone.
Lizzie, we lost track of what we were used to be talking about when they were.
And surprisingly, your shirt is the only reference to Triple Targaryens today.
Cat and Asha pleading for peace. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the person who won't Well, I was referring to the King's Moot or Queen's Moot, but yes.
Yeah. But I mean, every man they meet that's in charge is still want to fight.
Oh, it's true though that they are both trying. Yeah, she's still trying. You're right. She's still trying
Yeah.
with Stannis, and actually, Kat tries to make the argument when they're before going to see Stannis, and then makes the argument with Stannis. So yeah, actually, there are parallels in both cases, right? They
Yeah.
give the rousing speech where they almost get people to listen about we should look at how to proceed with peace, and then they also meet with Stannis and again fail.
Yeah. Stannis is the Mad King.
Nice try, dude. Nice try. Well, we could have specifically we did talk about the double biological grandfather, right? So we actually were referring to. In fact, I think that may even have been some quotes that were actually from the Triple Targaryens, episode 5.
Yeah, but I'm the one that mentioned Triple Targaryens. It wasn't Richard.
Fair
so
enough.
that's
but I was coming pretty close. We were talking a little bit about the
well, I brought up the Chimera, so I mean we were
yeah.
So you didn't.
We were definitely talking. We're specifically implying that Jamie and Cersei are all right, which would be episode 5.
There you go.
Anyway.
All right. Well, for those that are going to Ice and Fire Con, make sure you double check, triple check everything that you're going to do. If you haven't got a booster shot, I highly recommend it. But if that's not your cup of tea, I understand.
One thing one thing about when you said Bastard Rhaegar, I almost yeah. Plus, you're right. It's a good point. I was talking specific. That was episode 4. I was talking about I did talk about the language of Dany as well, right? So yeah. So we also talked about Triple Targaryens episode 4. We should have called those out. My bad. I should have brought those up when we were talking about those.
Yeah, they're scattered throughout. But okay.
There were multiple references. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna treat it like Friday. Everybody be good, stay safe. If you're driving, drive safe. See everybody at Ice and Fire Con. Those that aren't going, we will have a video. It might be a live stream or it might be just a video from Ice and Fire Con. And then I have a bunch of other content that happens at Ice and Fire Con on the channel.
Sir Dave says refresh the stream afterward and leave comments for the bloodthirst of the YouTube algorithm. I'll triple Targaryen check.
Yeah, you'll be there live. I mean, I'll bring you a cowbell every time he references Triple Targaryen. You can ring cowbell. But y'all be good, stay safe, and we will see you the following week after Ice and Fire Con on Wednesday, the 3rd. So y'all be good, take care, and see you soon. Bye, Richard.
You too. Bye.